We came here and created a blank slate. We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there was nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, that there isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
So here he does his Seinfeld skit. Hey, we're a country all about nothing. Well, when it comes to the founding of this country, why don't we see what George Washington had to say? He might know something about that. So according to George Washington, the foundation of our empire was not laid in the gloomy age of ignorance and superstition, but at an epoch when the rights of mankind were better understood and more clearly defined than at any former period. The researches of the human mind after social happiness have been carried to a great extent. The treasures of knowledge acquired by the labors of philosophers, sages, and legislators through a long succession of years are laid open for our use. So he's talking about the best of history and gathering that wisdom to try and create the perfect country. And their collected wisdom may be happily applied in the establishment of our forms of government. Does that sound like nothing? So according to Rick Santorum, our country was just made from nothing. According to George Washington, it was from the collected wisdom of sages, legislators, philosophers through a long succession of years. I'm going to go with Washington on this. So according to George Washington, there were many sources of inspiration that established our government. Let's examine some of those influences. The ancient Greeks, of course, the ancient Greeks. The first democracy was formed in Athens during the 6th century B.C.E. The ancient Romans. The Romans adopted a republic long before Christianity was a religion, long before they adopted Christianity as their state religion. The Renaissance, a reawakening of ancient Greek and Roman philosophy. And by the way, so much of that kindle that burned so brightly in the Renaissance was made possible by the golden age of Islam, when they revered knowledge more precious than gold, when they collected books and scripts from all corners of the world and made copies of it and preserved it. There are works of Aristotle that we wouldn't have today if it weren't for that golden age. Philosopher John Locke, social contract theory, more ancient Greek influence. When you're driving and the light's red and you stop, why do you stop your car? You have an agreement to obey the laws of your society, this social contract. And the Six Nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, let me see if I'm saying that right. Iroquois. The Six Nations at an Iroquois Confederacy, Native American influence. 1988, current resolution to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois, I'm probably saying it, mispronouncing it still, Confederacy of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution and to reaffirm the continuing government-to-government relationship between Indian, in 1988, they're still using the term Indian tribes and the United States established in the Constitution, whereas the original framers of the Constitution, including most notably George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, are known to have greatly admired the concepts of the Six Nations and the Iroquois Confederacy, whereas the Confederation of the original 13 colonies into one republic was influenced by the political system developed by the Iroquois Confederacy, as well as many of the democratic principles which were incorporated in the Constitution itself. Native American influence is in the very DNA of our founding documents. So Rick Santorum is basically wrong about everything. He's wrong about this country being founded on nothing, and he's wrong about Native Americans not having influence on our very founding documents. And I hope I'd established that pretty clearly during this video. Thanks for watching. Until next time.
Cisco, do we have to leave all our good friends now?
Only until next time, Pancho. Adios, amigos.